Because at the end of the day, the creator of the universe has my back. Period. Like, I have nothing to fear. Period. Period. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Irene if you're new here. Today in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 ways I have leveled up in my life through some lessons that I've learned in my 20s that have helped me become a better person, and I want to share them with you, and I don't feel like I should keep these things to myself. So if you are interested in knowing what they are, then just keep on watching. So the first lesson I learned was that I had to separate myself from people that no longer brought me joy. And this was really hard for me because naturally I try to see the best in people and show people grace, especially if I love you, because nobody is perfect out here, including myself, and I would want that energy reciprocated back to me. But with that being said, I feel like there comes a point where you have to draw a line to prioritize your peace and recognize when a relationship has run its course, especially if it's affecting you negatively. The faster that I realize that not everyone is in your life for a lifetime, people come in your life to share experience with, to learn lessons, to teach you things, and the faster I realized that relationships come and go, the easier it was for me to let relationships go. And I'm not talking about canceling people, okay? I don't subscribe to the cancel culture that has been popping off lately. I'm not saying that, but I do vouch for boundaries and respect and protecting your peace. And I know this is super difficult, trust me, like I know. I feel like we don't talk about friendship breakups enough because they can be just as hurtful and heartbreaking as, you know, any other relationship, like, you know, any other type of relationship. But what comforted me is just remembering the good times and remembering the lessons that I've learned throughout the relationship, and there's no love lost. As opposed to keeping somebody around that's hurting you consistently for the sake of history and the relationship. Like, that's not healthy. The second lesson I learned was that I had to accept people for who they are and not what I expect them to be, if that makes sense. Like, you can't force anybody to do or be anything, and that shouldn't even be the goal. Like, if the shoe was on the other foot, I know I would not want somebody forcing me to do or be anything. Like, first of all, that's never gonna work. I'm a Taurus. I'm very bullheaded. Like, nobody can force me to do anything. I have a mind of my own, period. But I feel like even if you're not a Taurus, I feel like nobody wants to be forced to do anything. And this is totally fine. This is okay. People are individuals and you have to accept people for what they are, for who they are. Instead, I choose to lead with love and accept people for who they are, not my preconceived notions of what I think they should be. And if you want to be a positive light, that's amazing. Do that. I think we all should aspire to do that. But let your own life be an example of that. Light is super attractive and it's super contagious, and your actions will speak for themselves. You don't have to force anything on anybody. The third lesson that I learned that allowed me to level up was that I started listening to my intuition. I've always been a super intuitive person, but I haven't always listened to my intuition. But I realized that the more I honored it, the more I listened to it, I was able to recognize my intuition more, and the more I was able to hear it, the louder it became. Some people call it a gut feeling. I personally believe that my intuition is the voice of God speaking to me, because naturally I'm a very indecisive person. It takes me a long time to make decisions. I overthink everything. So I know the difference between my own thoughts and my intuition. My intuition is sudden, it's clear, it's direct, like there's no mistaking. I know the difference. Like I said, the more that you honor it, the more that you'll be able to recognize it and hear it. So don't ignore your intuition, trust it. And last but not least, I started verbally expressing how I felt instead of shutting down and expecting somebody to know what I'm feeling or read my mind. And I know that this sounds like common sense, but to me, it was not common. It was not common. That's why I thank God for my husband, who has been super patient with me in this area, because this has been hard for me. Because for a long time, when conversations became difficult or uncomfortable or I felt misunderstood, I would just shut down. That would only lead to me becoming even more misunderstood, so it wasn't constructive at all. But now I take the time to express how I'm feeling, no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult it is for me to convey how I'm feeling. I'm going to do it, especially if the relationship is important to me. And this is why journaling has always been super therapeutic and effective for me, because I'm able to get everything that's inside of my head on paper and make it make sense. That's just a tip. Journaling has helped me in that way. Ever since I was a teenager, writing is just my thing. But I do understand that hard conversations need to be had. So if that looks like you putting the conversation on pause so that you can gather your emotions, gather your thoughts, so that they can make sense to you and to the other person so that nobody else gets hurt, I think that is important. I think it's important for the person that you're having the conversation to honor and respect that you need your time to process, because if you try to work everything out when your emotions are all over the place, when your thoughts are all over the place, when you feel misunderstood, if you're frustrated, it's not gonna benefit either of you. So take that time to regroup yourself and come back to communicate when you have all your thoughts together. And obviously you have to be mindful of the other person as well, because you don't want to be sitting here processing for days on end while this person is just hanging out trying to figure out what the heck is going on with you. So I think it's important for both parties to keep each other in mind when difficult conversations arise. I'd rather put a conversation on pause so that I can regroup myself instead of shutting down, which is what was super normal to me. I would suppress all my feelings, and that would just make matters even worse, because I would blow up and then it's like, where is all of this coming from? You know what I mean? So don't suppress your emotions or avoid hard conversations, because they need to be had. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And lastly, I make a conscious choice almost daily to not let fear run my life. I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like the older I became, the more fearful I became of things. And I'm just like, this is whack. Like, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live my life in fear. Like, no, I don't, One of my favorite scriptures is, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And I literally put this on my mirror so that I see it every single day to remind myself, because although we live in a wicked, wicked world, like, ugh, don't even get me started. I know that the world can be super wicked, but there's also a lot of good in it as well. And I try to view it from that lens, from that perspective. So I make a conscious choice daily. Like, this is literally something that I have to work on every day, to not let fear run my life, to not let fear keep me stagnant, because that's what it will do. Because at the end of the day, the creator of the universe has my back, period. Like, I have nothing to fear, period. Period. And that is all I have for you today. I hope that this video was helpful and inspired you. Remember that we are on this earth to learn and love and experience. And I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to share some of these lessons that I learned. In the comments below, share one lesson that you have learned in your 20s that helped you become a better person. I would love to hear it, because we're all about growth and development over here. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.